All right, hello everybody and welcome. I'm so glad you have joined us today for our webinar about the ACC and their partnership with American University. This is Deanna Laird and I am with Accounting Fly. I head up our university relationships and kind of information that we gather for you all. And hopefully you all know that a key mission of ours at Accounting Fly is to bring you information that we think is very important for you to ensure that you have a successful accounting career. And today's webinar is a great example of that when we talk about the value of the ACC accreditation and also the unique partnership that they have with American, because we think both are important and both are great. So just a little bit about the ACC. It's a globally recognized distinction of qualification and knowledge that really opens doors to you, again, like I said, globally, and kind of gives an assurance of the variety of knowledge and preparation that you as a professional can have in a broad range of activities and opportunities in accounting and a broad range of organizations as well. So it's a great way to prepare yourself, but also give the assurance to employers and organizations that you may work with or work for about your credentials. And as I mentioned, joining the discussion today is American University. And we at Accounting Fly, we really think that having a graduate education is very important can really be a game changer for setting your career on the right pathway and opening up the right opportunities by giving you a broader knowledge. And so this partnership is a way that universities and ACC, American University in particular, have partnered to ensure, again, that they provide their students with this important knowledge to give them broad career opportunities. All right, so this will be exciting and good. As always, we will love to answer your questions. And in the question panel of the webinar tool is where you can type those questions. And I will review them throughout the webinar and then post them to our speakers at the end of the presentation, just so that we kind of group them all together. So type in your questions whenever you want to, and I'll hold those and we'll get to as many as we can by the end of the session. Before I present and let you know about who our speakers are today, I'd like to do just two polls. We'd like to learn a little bit about yourself so that we have a good understanding of who you are in the audience. So right now a poll should be showing on your screen, and we would just like to understand where you are in your career. If you're currently an undergraduate student or a graduate student, you might be working already, so we'd like to know if you have less than 2 years experience or more than 2 years experience. And just so you know, you can select multiple options here. So you may be going to school and also working, and that's great. So just let us know if that's the situation. Now, if none of the above characterizes you, I'd love to understand a little bit more about that so that we can have appropriate questions in future webinars. And so if that characterizes you, if you wouldn't mind, just send me a chat message about what that means so that I can understand who you are in our audience, and maybe we can make sure that we take into account your background and circumstance as well. Okay? Thanks for voting. Most have voted now. I'm going to go ahead and close the poll. And so, as you see, Sharon, over 50% of those joining us today have more than 2 years of work experience. So some really good and experienced professionals here. So welcome, glad you're here. And then also 27% are at the undergraduate level. So terrific, that's great to know. All right, real quickly, let me just move to our second poll and then we'll move on to the actual content. Since we mentioned that the ACC Credential is a globally recognized association in Credential, we'd really like to understand where you're joining us today. So are you joining us from the United States, or are you joining us from abroad? When I looked at some of those who signed up, I recognized that some of the time zones were coming in, from not the Eastern, Central, or Western Pacific time zone. So I know that there's some internationally based individuals here, and although they may not be on right now and they may watch the recording, but I'm glad to know that our word out has gotten around. Okay, so the majority have voted, and as you'll see, the majority of our audience is from the United States, 88%, but we do have the rest joining us from abroad, so terrific, and again, welcome. Okay, now that you know a little bit about you, let me tell you a little bit about our speakers joining us today. So we have Warner Johnston, who is the head of ACCA USA, and he's been with ACCA USA ever since 2011. He's had a broad career in a variety of roles in both New York State and also New York City governments. And most recently, before joining the ACC, he was the Vice President of Public Affairs for New York State's Empire State Development Corporation, which is dedicated to promoting business investment and growth leading to job creation across New York. In that role, he led the rebranding efforts for the Office of Public Affairs and Strategic Planning and was chief spokesperson for advising the governor's office, chairman, board of directors, government heads, or department heads, and agency officials. So I can only imagine some exciting and really interesting topics and circumstances that you faced, Warner, in that role. Also from ACCA, we have Julie Missimore, who will be joining, and she is the Director of Policy at ACCA USA since 2012. And in this role, she's worked with key decision makers in DC, helping make policy decisions for them. Then from American University, we have Casey Evans. And Casey is the executive in residence for the Accounting and Taxation Department at American University in Washington, D.C. And here she teaches undergraduate and graduate accounting courses. Casey has also extensive industry experience handling a range of forensic accounting issues, including fraud investigations, Security and Exchange Commission, and Department of Justice enforcement actions, financial reporting and disclosure issues, and more to add to that. She speaks regularly at a variety of organizations and is a CPA and also a certified fraud examiner. So as you can see, we have some really great experienced professionals here. I know that they're excited to bring you the background of the ACCA, Credential, and also the partnership with American University. And with that, Warner, I will hand it over to you.
Great. I'm assuming everybody can hear me, and I'm glad that you're all here to join us, and thank you for that introduction, Deanna. And also welcome to Casey, who, even though we're not physically together, we were with each other last month in DC, so it's a pleasure to be with you on the phone today. I'd like to give an overview.
Thanks for having me.
Great, thank you. I'd like to give an overview of ACCA, not just globally, but also in the U.S., and then talk about our relationship with American University. Casey's also going to be able to talk specifically about the program at AU, and so let's get started. So for those of you who are not familiar, ACCA is the global body for professional accountants. We are a leader in terms of recognition and size, and we are also proud to be a leader in diversity and inclusion, opening up the profession to capable people from all backgrounds. Our organization and membership is prepared to be different, and we have a proud record of innovation in the interests of the profession and on behalf of our members and students. The next slide that you will see is a short agenda of what we plan on talking about today. And without further ado, I am just going to jump into it. So, As you can see from this map, ACCA is truly global. We have over 100 offices around the world. We have 188,000 members and 480,000 students in 178 countries. And our membership is composed of over 180 different nationalities. One of the great reasons why we have been able to attract students to the American University program and our other university programs is that students have been attracted about the idea of being part of a global network. And as you can see, we are incredibly global. Our head office is based in London, and our global call center is based in Scotland and is open 24 hours a day. So even on Christmas, our members and students are never truly disconnected from us. ACCA is young and ambitious. 40% of our students are under the age of 26, and even with this young age profile, as you can see, 1 in 5 ACCA members are working in chief head position, and 1 in 10 are working in Fortune, Forbes, and FTSE top companies. 49% of our students are women, and there are multiple paths to entry. In fact, in 1908, ACCA was the first accountancy organization in the world to allow women entry. Multiple paths to entry include this program that we're discussing today with American University. Not only have we been developing a diverse membership for over 100 years, but we've also offered multiple entry routes to ACCA to allow them to progress towards the qualification as they see fit. The partnership with American, which we'll dive into in a bit, is really attractive because essentially people are working towards dual credentials, both the CPA and ACCA. And coming from such an esteemed university, it's really a triple threat. Additional demographics, our membership, 60% are based in corporate, 24% are based in public practice, and 16 are based in public/state sector. Here in the USA, we have offices in New York City and DC. We're actually about to open our office in Chicago. Our main focus is to increase employer and university relations to benefit students and members. And we're also focused on thought leadership platforms, including global talent, corporate social responsibility, and cybersecurity. Our membership is composed of 4,000 members and students, which make up 11 member chapters around the U.S., including actually one of our most active chapters, which is in Washington, D.C. And we're currently working on a member-student mentorship program, which will be launched in a couple months, and also an online chapter, which anybody would be able to take advantage of. Our chapters are not just a way for members to meet and greet and network, but also go over technical learnings at every chapter event. So let's talk a little bit about the qualification itself and what it means. So the qualification is composed of 3 areas: exams, ethics, and experience. Deanna, I'm glad that you did that poll before to show that people had, from what I recall, 2 years of work experience. To become a full-fledged ACCA member, not only are you responsible for the exams and an ethics module, but there's also a 3-year work requirement. However, that could have been done prior to starting ACCA. So for those with 2 years work experience in the right industry, they would actually be only 1 year away from being full ACCA. And many of our members, our students work on ACCA while employed. So let's dive a little into what the 14 exams or papers are. So the first step are what we call the 9 fundamental papers, and then those are followed by 5 professional papers. The papers are earned either by completing the exams or by a combination of completed university coursework. So when we move a little further into this presentation, we actually have a relationship and partnership with American University that allows us to provide exemptions to some of these core exams. So rather than 14, there would be fewer exams to complete. The ACCA qualification will test your knowledge of management, financial accounting, corporate and business law, taxation, reporting, audit, and insurance. The first 9, the fundamental exams, I'm not going to read them out loud, they're all in front of you, but you can see it's a wide range of accounting and financial coursework. But the main goal is to introduce you to the main areas of financial and management accounting and cover technical areas that you would need in the workplace. So the exemptions that we offer via American University would come out of these nine core papers. The following slide shows you our professional papers, and these are required of any ACCA student. We never provide exemptions on these. These are some of the real learning of the ACCA qualification, but it's also the area where you're allowed to customize your ACCA experience. As you can see, P1, P2, and P3 are required for all ACCA students, while P4, P5, P6, and P7 are the optional papers. You still have to do them, but you get to select 2 out of the 4. So now we're going to talk a little bit about what the exemptions are, and then I'm going to hand it over to Casey to talk a little bit about American University. Oh, sorry. Pardon me. My slide notes got a little messed up. Actually, no, we're just going to talk about American University. You okay, Casey, to do that?
Yeah, I'll take it from here. That's fine.
Okay. Just nudge me and I'll forward the slides when you're ready.
All right. Well, hello again. My name's Casey Evans. I'm the director of the Master's in Accounting program at American University. Just a little bit about AU. We are in Washington, D.C. We're a private university. We've got about 11,000 students. About half of those are graduate students, half of those are undergraduate students. The Master's in Accounting program is out of the Kogod School of Business. The Kogod School of Business is a very strong business school with an excellent accounting program, and so we're really proud of our MFA program. Some noteworthy items on our MFA is we've got about 95% of our students graduate with jobs, both here and abroad, and ACCA has a lot to do with that. Warren, if you can go to the next slide, please. So again, just a couple additional points on the Kogod School of Business. Our Master's in Accounting program is what has the partnership with the ACCA. A little bit on our Master's in Accounting program. It's a program, we've got about 75 students in it right now. I'll talk in more detail about the program, but some general strengths about studying at American University, particularly at Kogod. We have small classes for you. The class sizes are no more than 35 in size, but really when you break down into the Master's in Accounting program, it's more like 10 to 15 students in each of your classes. This allows you to get to know your colleagues pretty well. It also gets you the opportunity to get to know your professor really well and creates a really nice learning environment, which is particularly good when it comes to accounting because the curriculum is rigorous. We have innovative curriculums that we allow our Master's in Accounting students to take part in beyond just your standard accounting courses. We have, for example, a graduate certificate in forensic accounting. I'll talk a little bit more about that in a minute. We have some really interesting advanced audit, tax, lots of interesting electives for you to choose from. And again, we'll go through all of those in a moment. We have some great faculty that you'll get to work with, both tenured and term faculty. Tenured faculty are your PhDs that are well researched in the area that they're teaching, and then our term faculty are the professors that are well practiced in the area that they're teaching, so it provides a really great learning environment for our students. And we also have some wonderful career services available to our students. I mentioned we have a really high placement rate for our graduate students, and a lot of that has to do with our Career Development Services Center here that's just for our business students. Warner, next slide, please. So with a master's in accounting from American University, due to the partnership that we have with ACCA, as Warner mentioned, you are waived from 6 of the 9 fundamental papers for the ACCA exam. You can see which ones you'd be waived from here. We're very proud of those waivers. And so again, with a master's degree in accounting from American University, that gives you waivers, 6 waivers from the 9 fundamental papers that make up the exam. Next slide, please. And there's a great picture of our campus. Okay, so a little bit more information about our Master's in Accounting program. Typically, the program is a 30-credit degree. Depending on your previous academic experience, it could go up to 37.5. You may complete the program on a full-time or part-time basis. Full-time would allow you to complete the degree in about 12 to 18 months, depending on your course load. If you're doing part-time, that's 1 to 2 classes a semester. It may take closer to 2 or 3 years. Full-time load is 3 classes. Sometimes we'll allow students to do 4 per semester. Part-time is more like 1 or 2. If you're an international student, you must be full-time, and that's 9 credits or 3 classes per semester, and it does not include the summer. I will go into each of the disciplines in our curriculum, but overall we have students start out, if they haven't done this previously, with foundational business courses. After they complete the foundational business courses, they get into our core accounting courses, which are really the meat of the program. And then with the remaining credits they have left, they can choose from our various elective courses, and I'll go through each of those in a moment. What is, I would say, probably one of the most unique things about our program is that it's tailored for you. So everyone in our program comes from a different academic background. Some have taken accounting before, some have degrees in accounting, some haven't done any accounting until they come to us. And so with each of our students, we design their own plan of study that does not mirror really any of their colleagues in the course or in the program. It's really based on their previous academic experience and then their professional goals. So I mentioned that we have some students that have not done accounting or business before. They may have studied law, communications. We've got all types of backgrounds in our program. Those courses, if they haven't been taken at previous institutions, will be taken here before you get into the core accounting courses. So just your fundamental business courses, if you've gotten a B or better at your previous institution, in these courses you're waived out of them. So those of you who are undergraduate students, or as undergraduate students, you are a business major or even accounting major, as long as you took these courses and again got a B or better, you're waived out. And then if you haven't taken these courses yet, you can take them with us before you get into the meat of the program, which is on the next slide, please. So these are the core accounting courses. It's 21 credits. Again, if you have studied accounting at an institution previously, you may have taken some of these classes too. As long as you've gotten a B or better, you're waived out. If you have not, this is where you learn the fundamentals of accounting. We have all the accounting courses listed here. As Warner mentioned, a lot of our students are studying for both CPA and ACCA. And what we found is that's really, like Warner mentioned, a great way to make yourself distinct. There's a lot of opportunities, particularly in Washington, D.C., at large firms that want to have people that know IFRS and GAAP. And so, you know, these core courses here are the courses that are required by states in order to sit for the CPA, but they're also the courses that get you the waivers for the ACCA exam. And next slide, please. Let's talk about our electives. As I mentioned, we have a lot of electives for you to choose from. You have them listed here. A couple highlights are what really makes, I think the number of electives that we have really make us distinct. In addition to getting you prepared to take these exams for your various credentials, CPA or ACCA, we also want to prepare you for your professional career after you leave AAU. And so what we ask our students to do is think about what they want to do when they graduate and take a course in it before they do. And so many of our students go on to audit profession. We've got an advanced audit course, which is really great. A lot of our students are interested in forensic accounting. And we have a graduate certificate in forensic accounting that allows our students to work towards their master's while also getting a special designation in forensic accounting. And we also have a lot of great classes in tax we also have a certificate program in tax. And so a lot of electives for you to choose from. These are courses that allow you to, while preparing for your professional career, we also have courses that will allow you to really dive deeper into content that's tested on the CPA exam and ACCA exam. So really great options for you to choose from when it comes to your elective courses. Next slide, please. As I mentioned, we have a lot of students coming from a variety of backgrounds. So just to give you an idea of what your time at AU may look like, if you have an undergraduate degree from an AACSB accredited institution, then, and assuming you got a B or better in your accounting courses, you are waived out of most of the core accounting courses within our program, with the exception of the Seminar in Accounting Theory course, which is the capstone course that everyone does at the end of their program. That frees you up to take a variety of electives. And again, students who have studied accounting as an undergrad typically use their electives to study topics that are heavily tested on the CPA or ACCA exams, and also prepare for their professional career. If you're an undergraduate student that studied business, wasn't specifically accounting, but you've taken accounting before and you did well, you've taken finance, you've done econ, you've done stats, then what your coursework will look like is mainly those core accounting courses, and to the extent that you have not taken any of them before. So that's about 18 credit hours, and then the remaining credit hours that you'll have left can be, you'll have the freedom to take any electives that may be available to you. Next slide, please. If you have not done any accounting before coming to us, that is okay. That just means that your degree might exceed 30 hours if you have not taken, say, econ or stats before. So you'll do the core accounting courses, then you'll move on to the fundamental, so you'll start with the fundamental courses, move on to the core accounting courses, and then you will have the opportunity to take 1 or 2 electives. Next slide, please. And Warner, I don't know if, yeah, this is still me. So if you're interested in applying to our program and taking advantage of this great partnership that we have with the ACCA, this is what you need to do. All applications are done online at kogod.american.edu/apply. We'll need your current resume. We'll need a personal statement, which is your opportunity to tell us why you want to be a student at American University. 2 letters of recommendation, a transcript from all the universities that you've attended, and then you have the option to take a GMAT or GRE or provide a supplemental essay. We provide you with a scenario, a case study essentially. It's short, it'll be about a 500-word essay, and you answer a series of questions related to the essay. If you are an international student, we will need the TOEFL or IELTS score from you. And at the end of the application, there's just a quick interview that we'll conduct with you as well. Next slide, please. Here are our application deadlines. So we are currently accepting applications for fall 2017. Here is the deadline for all our international students. It's March 1st, 2017. May 1st is the final scholarship deadline. Just so you all know, all applicants are considered for a merit-based scholarship. You don't have to separately apply. So that is naturally something that we will consider when reviewing your application. And then the final deadline for all applications is July 1, 2017. Also, so you know, we do have spring admission. So if fall 2017 doesn't work out for you, you also have the option to join us in the spring. Next slide, please. So, Warner, we may need to split these slides, but after you apply
Sure.
online at AU, again through kogod.american.edu/apply, get accepted into our program, and then it looks like you can be signed up and you'll get an eligibility letter from ACCA with a university code. And then Warner, I'll let you take it from there because then it's in
Sure.
ACCA's hands.
Absolutely, thank you. This might be a little too much in the weeds. I would urge everybody on the call to first apply to Kogod, and then once you're there, we'll be in touch and we'll help you walk through the registration process for ACCA. It's obviously all online. We have a team who can help. We actually take people to halfway through the application process, but we would be in touch. It's really something of a personal touch that we do. The ACCA, I should just comment though, ACCA does offer a very steep discount to students at American University, but there are some costs involved with ACCA, but they are frankly, to register for ACCA is $30. To take an exam is $200. And that's pretty much the extent of the costs. We offer an incredible amount of free resources in preparing for the ACCA exams. As you saw, Casey just did a very nice deep dive of the curriculum, and you'd be able to pair your studies, if you so choose, with your ACCA exam prep with similar courses that you'd be taking at Kogod. So you would essentially be ready to sit during one of the exam windows that ACCA provides, which is 4 times a year. I only have a couple more slides that I'm just going to share, and then Deanna will open up for questions. Some of the benefits of being a member include having access to our Jobs Career Board, which is a global resource. Right now has over 27,000 jobs around the world. As Casey pointed out, there are companies here in the U.S. that are looking for dual designated employees. The CPA is incredibly important to practice in the U.S., but ACCA also gives you a very good understanding of global international regulations and global business. However, we do have students in the U.S. who are interested in an international career, and this could be your first stop towards that path, along with our partners at Accounting Fly. And then one thing that we're hearing from employers around the world, what they want, and something that ACCA fulfills, is that they're looking for employees, for their accountants to be more strategic advisors for the business, to provide sharper insights to facilitate better decision making, and to operate more collaboratively. We have to find a new word for future webinars. And just to give you a little bit of a snapshot, these are employers in the U.S. Where many of our members work. So these are all, important employers, and we have members at each one of them, and we'd be more than happy to set up informational interviews when you're at that point in your career search. So final slide. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Terrific. Well, that's some really great information. I think it provides some really nice details. And we have had some questions come through, so let me go ahead and hit on these. And those of you who have not submitted your questions, please feel free to continue to do so, and I'll monitor them as best I can as we're answering these. So one thing, Warner, I believe you mentioned is the experience required for the credential, and you said that that experience could be attained before, like going to get your master's, for example, or after. And I think you mentioned the right experience, and someone asked, what is the right experience, or the experience that would qualify?
Sure, that's a great question. Essentially, the ACCA, to become a full member, excuse me, you need to have 3 years of work experience working in the financial or accounting industry, supervised by a certified accountant or financial professional. So if you currently work, let's say, as a bookkeeper in a CPA firm, and you're supervised by an accountant, that when, let's say you've done that for 3 years and you start ACCA today, we will count those 3 years that you had prior to ACCA.
Okay. And another work experience related question, and Casey, I think this one would be for you. You mentioned the size of the program, the MSA program at American University. How many, or do you know the percentage of those who are coming in with prior work experience when they enter the MSA program versus those who are coming with no experience or maybe straight from undergraduate work?
Sure. We have, like I mentioned, a variety of backgrounds with a variety of experiences in our program. I would say about it's half and half. About 50% of our students use our program as a fifth year to get their master's before they move on and start to take their exams and go on and work. And then the other half are students that have been working full-time, sometimes in accounting or in another area, and they're doing the program part-time. One thing I do want to mention, we try to make that very easy for our students because the internships or work is a big focus of our students, and so all of our classes meet in the evenings to allow for our students to work either at their full-time job during the day or get an internship and work during the day. And so again, it's about half and half. About half the students are full-time students and they are not working, while the other half are doing the program part-time and because they're working during the day.
Okay, great. Okay, I have some questions that are related, and I hope I'm asking these in the right way. So for those who submitted these, let me know if I'm not hitting on your specific question just by submitting another question. But I had a couple of people ask about really if they're already apparently ACCA qualified, but they don't have their CPA or the master's degree. And I guess the question is there a special approach to like the program in American University for someone in a circumstance like that is already ACCA qualified?
I can tell you it makes you an attractive candidate for us. If you're already ACCA qualified, then I'm assuming that means that you've taken the exam and the waivers wouldn't be something that you needed. But what it sounds like, if you're interested in also becoming a CPA, the courses that make up our core accounting, the core accounting coursework are the ones that you need in order to sit for the CPA exam. So if you're ACCA qualified, we have a competitive application process. If you're already ACCA qualified, that makes you an attractive candidate to us. And then also you can still reap the benefits of our partnership. We do networking events with ACCA, the DC chapter of ACCA. It gives our students an opportunity to get to know people who are ACCA qualified and working here in Washington doing a variety of things in international accounting. And so you can still take part in those networking opportunities as well, even though you may not benefit specifically from the waiver part of the partnership.
Okay, great. And then interestingly enough, there's a question that's kind of the flip side. Someone asked, what if you already have your MS in accounting and CPA, but you don't have the ACCA qualification? What's the first step to register for the ACCA? And also, where can they get exam preparation materials?
Sure. So just to make sure I'm clear, they already are CPA certified, you said?
Yeah, so the way it's written, what if you already have your MS in accountancy and CPA?
Great. Well, what that means is that we will actually provide an exemption. Since you're already CPA certified, we provide automatic 8 exemptions to you for the first 9 fundamental papers. So you would get 8 out of the 9, and you'd only be responsible for the remaining 6. To register, it's super easy. Our website is acccaglobal.com. But also, if Deanna, if you have an email for that person, we'd be more than happy to reach out to them directly. Study materials, there are so many. We have a complete resource guide on our website, which also includes syllabuses for each of the papers, past exams, resource materials. We call it self-study. So if you wanted to self-study, you could do it for free just from our resources online. one of our teammates here in the office schedules interactive webinars during each exam period, so you'd have access to that. And we also have a partnership with Becker. Becker is an online study provider, and they provide 50% off on any of their ACCA modules.
Okay, great, great. All right, another question, I think following along with the topic right now is, what about a CPA certified person with a PhD in business accounting? How many exemptions?
Sure. That's a great question, and the answer is 8. So out of the 14 exams that we provide, 14 courses, we only ever offer exemptions for the up to 9, for the 9 fundamentals. However, a CPA holder, an active CPA member holder, would receive 8 out of the 9. The reason being is that one of the papers we have is a tax paper, and that we don't provide an exemption to for somebody who studied in America. Now, if you have a PhD, it's possible that you might have a background that would allow us to provide you with that 9th exemption, but our team based in Scotland would have to take a look at your transcripts and past education. But at the very least, you'd receive 8 with a possible 9th.
Okay, great. Received a similar question from 2 people. One is someone who is ACC qualified, and one is someone who, I'm not sure, it wasn't stated, but the question is around scholarships and for international students specifically, and they're wondering, do you offer any scholarships for international students? And if you could address the question, if it does depend upon whether they're ACC qualified or not, that would be helpful.
Sure. We do offer scholarships to international students. Again, all applicants are evaluated for a merit-based scholarship, and so our strongest applicants are the ones who get offered scholarships, and we don't limit that to just our U.S. domestic students. That is for any applicant, including international students. And again, ACCA qualified individuals become more attractive candidates to us, and so that's something that would be a big strength for you on your application and would be factored in when we're looking at scholarship possibility.
Okay, great. Back to the topic on preparation for the papers or the exams. Warner, you mentioned that it was in regards to someone who had already had their master's, so kind of outside, I guess, an academic environment like that. And you mentioned Becker is a strong vendor. Is that the same advice that you would provide if someone is going enrolled in, let's say, American University? Or Casey, as part of the curriculum of American, besides providing the knowledge that gives the 6 exemptions, is there also exam preparation as part of the curriculum?
We do not have exam preparation for the CPA or ACCA as part of the curriculum. We do have also a good relationship with Becker. They're on campus a lot. They're part of orientation. Our students get discounts for materials, but we don't have exam prep worked into our curriculum specifically.
And if you don't mind, I'd probably comment that that's pretty typical of a lot of accounting schools in the USA. We have relationships with other schools, and all of them have a relationship with either Becker or Kaplan. So those are the 2 players in the like the test prep market. My office happens to have a great relationship with Becker. My global company has a great relationship with Kaplan. Yeah.
Okay, great, great. Okay, so about I guess, kind of getting to the core value of the ACCA qualification. I started off the webinar about how it opens doors and it's globally recognized. And the question is, do you have any specific examples where it really appeared that the ACCA credential made a difference in placement for one of your graduate students?
Well, actually, I was just at an event in Dallas 2 or 3 days ago, As I mentioned, we have 11 chapters around the U.S. They meet regularly throughout the year. I was visiting one, and I did have a member who actually did talk about how we were talking about the strength of ACCA, and the member mentioned that his latest job interview, that he was selected over the other candidates because of the international experience and learnings that he received from ACCA. So that's one of the core kind of pitches that I would have, is that the world is becoming more global, as funny as that sounds. The economy is becoming more global, and there's more of a need, especially in multinational companies that operate in different parts of the world. So ACCA is incredibly valuable, and it's also acts as something of a global passport. I actually met with a couple members in Dallas who have actually worked in 4 different countries around the world, all based on the strength of the ACCA qualification, and now they're working in the U.S. So that's how I would answer that one.
So, I mean, this is kind of my question, just adding on to that. So it could be particularly important for, say, international students who, even if they're getting their degree here in the United States, know that they want to go back to home country or another country and work. But also, even those who plan to work in the United States, because companies are getting so global, it's just important to have that common language understanding, knowledge for your global counterparts, or so you can work effectively with your global counterparts. Is that a fair assessment or statement?
Absolutely, absolutely. I mean, just to hit on, so I have a number of my students in the U.S. are international students and are planning on returning to their home country. So having CPA, it's a well-known a product in the world. Having a degree from an American university or the American university is just great as branding on their resume, but then in many of their countries that they come from, having ACCA is actually what they need to practice. Here in this country, CPA is the gold standard. If you want an audit, there's a number of other things, you need to have CPA. ACCA makes you more valuable and can make you stand out apart, but the reverse can be true in other countries, and that's where a lot of our attraction comes from, is where having CPA is valuable, makes you stand out, but ACCA is the gold standard for that country. The fact of the matter is that there are a limit to how many work visas are provided to international students upon graduation. And while having CPA and an American degree is fantastic, they should really take a look at the future and ensure that they have the right qualifications and capabilities to practice if they return to their home country.
Right. Okay, Casey, this one's for you. What about someone who is an ACCA member but no bachelor degree? This person wants to know if they're eligible for an MS degree, or I guess entering the program at American University.
No, you need to have a bachelor's degree or the kind of international equivalent in order to be a graduate student and a master's student at AU.
Okay.
And
so
what Deanna, I could probably just add to that is that in many cases the ACCA qualification is considered to be 120 plus hours from the Foreign Credential Evaluation Services. So that might be something to look into.
So does that mean that it equates to 120 hours of the equivalent of a bachelor's degree outside the U.S.?
Yes, I mean, it's all done on a case-by-case basis, and I would not want to make a commitment on such a public forum, but that's what many of our members do when they apply to graduate school. They use their ACCA as the equivalent of a bachelor's.
Okay, there we go. Those listening, I had someone else kind of, there's some interest around that circumstance, I guess, so that's some really good information. And you said case-by-case basis, so do they need to look up in their particular, I guess, home country, or I don't know. What's the best way for them to research that and figure out what their circumstances are?
Sure. Well, the foreign credential evaluation service industry is actually quite large. Here in the U.S., there's over 50. But if you actually visit our local website, which is acca-usa.com, there are a number of useful links, including studying in the U.S. that Julie, who is my counterpart on this call, has put together. So again, that's acca-usa.com. We have a studying in the U.S. FAQ, and that goes into a considerable amount of detail on foreign credential evaluation services.
Okay. One person is typing in their very specific circumstance. So, Casey, if it's okay with you, I'll email you this particular question. It gets very detailed, and
Okay.
so the person who asked that, I will get back with you, okay, and we'll make sure that your question is answered. Okay, excellent. So besides that we'll address via email, that is the end of our questions. So thank you. I think this was just really fantastic, and I really appreciate the time that you have presented to us, and those of you attending, I appreciate your time and being here. I trust that it was really valuable and interesting information. But thank you so much, and Warner, Casey, and Julie, I know that you're there in the background to handle anything that may have come up. So thank you all, and I guess have a good rest of the day.
All right. Well, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right.
Bye-bye.